As you can see, I'm not quite home yet today. I went to the fish place doing some fishing. Some people may refer to it as, hey, fishing expedition. But for me, it was a fish expedition. Fish expedition. So we had to make some room for the tanks, and so the first thing I wanted to do was to make a couple of the tanks ready for some of the youngsters that are moving up. I want to actually move out some of the small fry in the boxes. So I almost lost you there. Okay. So just to reiterate, I'm almost home, so I'm going to be just taking a moment to talk about the items on the agenda today. I want to welcome everybody for joining, and certainly all the fish fam out there, fish tubers and so forth that have joined us today. We're going to be talking about how to culture, or shall we say not just culture, but we also want to be able to harvest some of the live foods. Now, it's interesting because the question came up from one of the individuals who bought some live foods from me today, and I hope you joined us for the live session. As I said, I'll explain how it is easier to get the microworms into the mouths of your fry. The easiest way, in fact. Also on the program today, I wanted to mention a few things about videos I've watched this week. Specifically, I watched a couple of videos that were very interesting. And to start with, the videos I'm going to mention are in the show notes. So if you look down below, the links are there, so you can just go right to them. The first one is a video by Greg Sage. And I've seen this video before. I watched it quite some time ago. But for some reason, the subject came up. Oh, yeah. Are you still there? Rotate device. Okay, rotate device. I'm still there. Came out of my folder, okay? Now I'm stopped. Let's see if we get that going. Okay, so if I can get that back normal. Huh. Hey, Ray Aquatics, Carla, excellent. Thank you for the thumbs up. We're just getting started here, but I need to fix the camera. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I'm almost at Fish Easy location. But because I've tilted the camera, it's kind of in the holder, kind of funny. This video by Greg Sage is one about books. And I started in the fish world some years ago when I was very young, like 13 years old, and somehow I picked up the standard book, Encyclopedia of Tropical Fishes, TFH publication, Axelrod, right? Everybody's heard of it because it's been around forever and there's a billion versions, and it's a great book. But at the time it was perfect for me because one of the things it did was it actually invoked, or shall we say engendered in me certain fish, certain kinds of fish, and in those particular cases, those fish were fish that kind of spurred me on to always wanting to do something with those. Like, for example, I'll never forget some of the photos in that book, like the tiger barbs. There's a couple of pictures of them, and they do have some other pictures. There's one picture in particular of Pentazona barbs, much in now. Okay, so I hope everybody's had a chance to really look at the books, the book collection, and to find a book that maybe is good for them. In particular, Greg Sage goes through his book collection, and when I started watching Greg Sage's videos, I noticed that behind him on the shelf were all kinds of books, and I was one of those individuals that asked him about that. I would ask him all the time, hey, which books are the best books, and what books are available? So sure enough, he went through and explained what books are available. And most of the books he shares are quite older books. In fact, I don't know if there's any real comprehensive book. Now, viewing it the second time helped me a lot. If you've watched that video and you want to go back and view it a second time, especially if you're kind of new in the hobby, you'll realize that, oh yeah, that's the book. I picked up one of those books. In fact, I think he called it the bench manuals. I have a couple of those books now, and I am glad I picked up the books because several of the books are really good. And then there's the hella big culturing live foods. I'm going to show that to you in just a few minutes, and it's a great book. And I'm going to explain something else that I really appreciated about going through the books collection like that, is that he identifies how useful is the book. You know, some books are more useful than others. Some are just like, they're like picture books, so there's something that gets you interested in, but you know, they're not really in depth. And then he points out several books. It's like, wow, I wish I had that book. Oh, it's out of print. Oh, you know, maybe I could still find it somewhere. Maybe it's worth it, etc. So I'm just pulling up now to the home, and so now I'm able to just see if I can jump out and have you take a look at Fish Easy from the outside in. Let's see, pulling up. We're now in the driveway and parked. Ta-da! That wasn't hard. Just like using your phone. Oh, I guess I was using my phone, wasn't I? So now the books. Hey, Aqua Malik, thanks for joining us. Just pulling in after the adventures of fish maneuverability, fishing in the greater Toronto area. And we parted with, we were working with some Odessa barbs, and we moved some, and that's the, what we moved? We moved some of the checkered barbs and blue rams, electric blues. So that's it. Let me give you a shot. Let's take you a look at my my yard. This is the backyard. Yeah, this is the garden. And as you can see, we've planted, and it just started getting going now. I think mainly because winter was so long, but now we're coming in. Sounds like there's an alarm going off. Uh-oh. Oh no, I'm locked out. Huh. Can't go in, but you know, I'm gonna have to go around. So, let's see. I can see the fish room right through the window. Oh, that's too funny. So, let's see if there's any questions. Anybody have any questions going on? Let's not show our address. So, wanted to mention another video that I saw, and that video, a series of I forget the author of the video right now. It escapes me, but the name of the video, maybe you can see it in the show notes if somebody would go down and look and remind. I'm having a distraction moment trying to get into the house. Okay, here we go. So now we're in. Okay, take off my shoes and we head down here. As you can see, okay, we go down into the basement. Yes, the fish are in the basement. And this is usually what happens. And there we come, door number 3. And it looks like we've arrived at the room. So you can see where it's at. Basically, come in the house, go downstairs, and there it is. The other video was a somebody have to explain to me what it was. Now, a quick look around. You come into the door and you first see the nursery. And the nursery has got all the breeder boxes. And now I've got them lined up on this side too. Now you understand why it's so important for me to get these fish moved so I can have tanks for these baby fry. These are black rams from pair P. And these black rams are doing excellent. As you can see, there's quite a few looks light colored ones. Alexa, turn off alarm. Yeah, the other alarm was going off. Thank you. Alexa, thank you. Yeah, I like Alexa because, you know, the truth is my hands are busy and I can just speak and set timers and do things. Now, I wanted to point out something about these black rams. We've got the oldest ones with a K. These are definitely ready for a tank. Can we please get these folks in a tank, please? So that was the goal today, and that's why I'm late. We've got these over here, also kind of a little overstocked, so we've got to get them moved. And over here we have a big breeder box with German blues. And we'll just keep moving. Now, this week, pair M, this is also black rams. And Sageti Nona, welcome. This is black rams in this little container. And we've got a good number. This batch turned out huge. But I'm very curious. This is going to be one of the most interesting batches to look at because as you see, they look dark and there might be some gold rams in there, the lighter colored gold rams. I'm thinking there might be, but we shall see. And the reason I say we shall see is because this is pair M. So looking around pair M, okay, pair M, this is pair M. This is the same pair. This is the batch from that same pair, but older. And the interesting thing about them is that there's no gold rams. Maybe one. I think there's just one gold ram in here. I don't know if I can focus. It's just so hard to focus when the sides of the tank get kind of messy. It focuses on that instead. But there is one gold ram in there somewhere. I don't see it right now. Oh, here it is in the corner. See it right there in the corner? Right there. There it is. That's one gold ram out of this entire batch. And this is the same pair. So I'm curious if you're watching this, my big question to you is, would you expect to see the propensity of a very low percentage of gold rams from the same pair? And the answer to that question is, if it's true, we got a lot of black rams here and very little gold rams. That is going to be one amazing batch. So I want to get these out of this container and into a breeder flow-through box real soon. So we're going to also mention the answer to a couple questions today. I do want to see, I need my stand. I had my stand for my phone. This is what I do. I just come grab my stand and then voila, I can put my stand here. I like the stand for this because there we go. Thank you for your patience. And then that way I can set it down. It's still. You probably all got kind of car sick because of what I was up to today. So I'll turn off the fan for the noise. So now, there was a question earlier this week. Hey Ryan, good to see you too. So there was a question earlier this week, and the question was from one of you viewers, one of the comments, and I thought it was a very good question. The question was, when should I replace my breeders? How old are they, and how do you know when it's a good idea to replace them? It's an excellent question. But I have also, with personal experience, found that it's not always so great from a production point of view to keep them too long. But the bigger they are, and if they're conditioned right, they will have larger batches. But on the other hand, if they're pushed to having or raising eggs, or I'm talking about the rams specifically, if the rams are made to have eggs or more frequently, in other words, if they're in an environment where they're going to keep laying and laying and laying, the batches get small after a while. In other words, they're not replenished. So one of the things I'm planning on doing is, and I think I picked this up from Dean. Dean, on the West Coast, he likes to, when he goes to pick up the fish, I think he likes to just go and select a pair, any pair, not keep the same pair. So like as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, these tanks, right? So I'm thinking that it's something to try, and I'm going to be experimenting with it a little bit more, is to have a 20-gallon long, for example, and have several pair in it, and then keep a close eye on them. And when you can see that a pair has kind of gone to the side and they're ready to lay eggs, rather than let them, or you can then move the pair into a tank by themselves. And especially if you wanted to raise fry on their own. This way, if a female is not in condition and she's not ready to go, the male is going to pursue her and drive her. And that's not good for her, and she may stress out and she may die. So you have to be careful and watch for that. Hi S, welcome to the live stream this week. So now that's the reason why I'm thinking about having like a bullpen, and I'm going to give that a try also. I like to experiment with different ways of trying, and then in the end, if I find that one method is better than another, I might go back to that method, and that's the way it is. You try something, you like it, or it has good results, or if you try something and it has poor results, then you know, wait, I learned something. You know, this is what fish keeping is all about. You try different methods. If a fish isn't breeding and you want to breed this fish, sometimes it's a good idea to try mixing up some things, a little different temperature, water changes, different tank. Sometimes just a little change makes all the difference in the world, and the fish go right to town. So that's something to bear in mind. So I hope that answers the question. It really didn't answer the question directly, but I would say that it's kind of like, well, when you have an older pair and you see that they're just not going into condition, it's harder to condition them and to bring them up into condition, then replace them with a younger pair. And if you're raising fish on a regular basis, picking out that really nice one out of the batch, if you have 100 fry and you're picking the best, you're picking the 1 out of 100, right? It's got to be super. It's the one that really outstanding, striking. It stands out to you, and so you're like, I'm going to keep that one for myself. So that's the advantage. If you're the breeder, then you can do that. So would you use that one to replace the one you had? Yes. You would look at the one that isn't producing as much as it was, and not that it isn't producing at all, but yeah, it's something that could be done. So that's something to consider. And I hope that answers your question. There is no specific age at which you can do it, but if rams don't live that long, if they're only, most people say they live only 3-4 years in a community tank, if well cared for, then the first year, I would say after they mature, their first year and a half is their prime breeding period. And then now they've passed middle age and they're going on the downhill, then it's time to replace them if you want to keep the production going. So that's my advice, is to don't wait until they're really old, but on the other hand, you can hang on to them for at least a year. So maybe in a certain year you're going to do that. Now I found that there's such a demand for the fish that people have talked me out of taking, and they take some of the breeders, and that makes it difficult too. So I end up parting with them and then going with some, picking out some younger ones, and that's worked out okay too. So that was one question that was asked, and the other question is today's. We're going to talk about fungus, and we're going to talk about the microworms. Now, I haven't set up the microworms and done the video like I wanted to, but in today's episode, there was a question about what if the microworms, not microphone, what if the microworms are not going up around the edges of the container? So I have that situation. Let's see, I have one here. Where are my microworms? Oh, hold on, where did they go? They were here a minute ago. Oh, I put them back where they should, in the lower part. I try to keep them cool. Now, as you can see in this case, this is like I don't know if you can really see, but this is not really them going up on the sides. It just looks like moisture on the side. It's not then maybe down in here. But when I open the lid and I actually look inside, that's when I noticed that the surface. Let me see if you can see. I don't know if you can see the surface. Yeah, the surface is crawling. Let's see if you can. I don't know if you can see. The surface is just crawling with them. So how do you get them off the instant mashed potatoes? So what I do is a very simple method. I'm going to turn my camera around because I want you to see what I'm going to do over here to harvest these worms. Okay, I'll take the container. First, I better fix my lens, eh? Okay. All right. Let's see if I can get it up there. Okay, looks like I hope. Now I have. What do I feed my worms to? It's a lot of times it's the catfish. Most of the catfish that are bottom eating. And so specifically, they are the ones that I use to feed. And also I have on occasion, I'm using mostly for the grams, the vinegar eels, and I'm using the baby brine shrimp, right? So these worms are actually also one possibility of when the fry are at the bottom, you can put the worms in, the microworms. But here's the best way to do it. First of all, I get a container, a small container. I have several of them sitting around, and I get about this much water. Okay, water. That much water. Now, this is going to prevent the situation where people put their finger, collect a whole bunch, put it in the breeder box, and then pollute the breeder box with way too many worms. Because they're not going to get all eaten, and what is eaten, not eaten, will rot. And so, not good. But this is going to be a much better method to control the amount because it is very controlled. Watch. So I'm going to take water. I have my water, and I'm just putting it up there so you can see. I think you're still in the camera. In fact, I'll double check. Yeah, you can see that from the camera. Then I'm going to come over here in this part of my room, and you will see that I have this kind of paper towel. This paper towel is a roll, and it's not the real absorbent, bounty type of paper towel. This is the paper kind of paper towel, if you know what I mean. The kind that you find at a gas station or, you know, a place, public place, and they have these rolls where people come over. Now I take a strip, and I just go like this, and I take a strip of this paper towel, and it's not the super absorbent kind, but it does absorb because it's paper. Okay, so now I'll show you what I do. I'll move the camera over to here. In fact, that would be better if I had it over here, eh? I don't know if that'll work. Okay. I might chop off my head, but I don't know. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the paper towel, and I'm going to just lay it on top. Just lay it on top. Now when I do that, you'll notice that it just starts absorbing. And I just, maybe a corner of it, and I wait. I can count to 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I start peeling it up very slowly. And that amount of time was enough for those wiggling little worms on the top. And it looks like at the very bottom I picked up a bunch of, you can just see it looks just moisture. I don't see a lot of the media picked up in there. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not even going to use the bottom portion. I'm going to get my scissors and I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay. Now I just have the paper towel that's moist. And I dip it into the water. And I go jiggling away. Da 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 da. And voila. I now have this much water. And I'm going to just, for showing you, I'm going to get my flashlight. And I'm going to show you, if you can see this. We're going to take a look at what I just was able to get. Now, this is the container, and those are the microworms in just pure water with very little of the media. Maybe a little bit of the media, maybe some of the potato kind of came up with it, but what do you think? I didn't even have to put my finger in there, and actually I kept a corner of the paper towel kind of dry, so I didn't even stick my finger in there, and I don't have them all over myself. Now these, remember, there were no microworms crawling up the sides, but now I have a beautiful amount of microworms to use. Now, next stage. How do I administer those? Well, simple. I can do one of two things. I can take these, let me go back over here. I don't want my phone to fall, but I can take the microworms, and what I can do is I can feed, like for example, I'm going to add some here. But I don't want to add too much because there's a lot of fish in here, but I want to add some. I can either go like this. Whoop. Add a little bit. I can just go from tank to tank, pour in a little bit. As you can see, just a little bit is a lot of microworms. But I use my turkey baster, and you can just see the microworms in the column on the turkey baster. And I can just go boo doo doo doo. That's it, microworms. And so that's plenty. I got some catfish over here. I don't know if it's in that frame, but another breeder box with some loose peanuts here. They love the worms. And that's it, voila. So I hope that was a great tip for the individual who was asking me, I think it was last night, about this particular method of how do I get the worms out when in fact the worms are only on the surface of the media. Let's see if there's any questions about that. By now, I don't know, you might have some questions. If you do, let me see if anybody's asked. How do you feed them? What do you feed them? Mashed potato, instant mashed potatoes. So I show you the box. I feed them this stuff. And you just get it at the grocery store, and you get like 3 packets or two packets. You get 2 packets in a box, and you use at one time one culture. I use half a packet, so this is good for four times. Now, when it's time to reset, you just start another one and spoon in some of the surface of the microworms on the top. I just use water in the instant mashed potatoes to make enough consistency that enough, not gooey wet, but not dry either, but sort of like just like mashed potatoes. So if it comes out to be just like mashed potatoes, it's the right consistency. And then I sprinkle yeast on top and add my microworms, and in a week I got them crawling up the sides. But then when they stop crawling up the sides, some people add more yeast. Some people do a lot of different things. I don't even bother doing that. I just use the paper towel method, and I like it because um, it's handy. Now, very good question, Jeff. Do I prefer the microworms over the vinegar eels? The answer to that question is very simple. I don't necessarily prefer one over the other, but I also know that there's a difference between vinegar eels and microworms. Microworms, microworms will go to the bottom. So if you have fish, I'll show you an example of a fish that I feed vinegar eels to. Um, that would be the, whoop, I got the camera. There we go. The camera. Okay, these fish are typically at the top of the tank and they don't eat off the bottom. So, same thing with these fish. These fish are always on the bottom. Which do you think is better? In fact, Greg Sage says in Nucipennis, don't feed micro eels because of the vinegar. It's a little very acidic and it will kill your fish, kill your fry. So these don't get vinegar eels, they do get microworms. By the way, this week I've been collecting more. I think this is another batch. I'm collecting. It seems like I'm getting close to, I don't know if you can see them in here. There they are. See those little guys running around. These are just starting. I'll start feeding these microworms. In fact, let me try that. I don't, let's see. Let me just feed the microworms. I'm just going to spill in some. Plenty of microworms for these guys. These guys are just coming off their yolk sacs, so they're ready to start eating, and microworms are their first food. So those work out really nice. Yeah, I check this egg trap almost every day, and right now I haven't had any large batches. What I seem to have been getting is lots of little batches all the time. So what I've been doing is just collecting them. I just collect them and keep putting out the little batch in a tray here. And then when I'm ready, now, for example, when the mops, I do this is kind of interesting because since they're not large batches, it's kind of like not worth it to have so many. I mean, when you have this many, okay, but to spend a breeder box, and this box here has quite a few too, but to spend all the effort for a breeder box. Oh, Major, you're here. Welcome. And Hatchery Man, thank you for that question. I will address that in just a minute. But what I was going to say is, you see the mop in there, and these are Furcatus rainbows. So today, or once a week, I've been taking this mop and throwing it into a container. And after a container or two, this mop starts hatching out fry, and this is what I get: a container full of fish. But what I've done is I just take little baby these eggs, and I just throw them in here. And honestly, I don't even worry about them. I don't even care. And it turns out that the feeding of these fish, whatever falls to the bottom, these fish gorge on. And so the truth is, with those little amounts, I end up with something like this. That's what I did here in this tank. Every Lucipennis you see in here was just an extra egg thrown into this tank. And as you can see, they're in there. Boom, boom, boom. They're running around. There's about 12 or 13 in here. And it was just extra space, and so it worked out really nice. They're too small to hurt anything. That is, the Lucipennis are very tiny, so it works out good. I do have a couple of pairs here of blue rams. It looks like they're getting ready to lay eggs. This dad has been protecting his little spot here in the corner, front corner. And this pair over here has also picked out their corner. So I noticed that they're getting ready to go down on eggs too. So we've got several. This week, unfortunately, I don't know if you saw. Yeah, I don't think I showed you last week. Let me see if they're out. I made a boo-boo, and this is black pair number K. This is the K pair in the K tank. They're not in the front right now, but they've got babies zipping around in there now because I didn't collect the eggs. I didn't even notice the eggs. So I don't know. My mistake. In a few minutes, they just rolled about the tank. So right now they're in the back. So we'll take a look. We'll take a look in when they get to the back. Okay. So I hope you caught my question, earlier. I was asking a question or making a statement, hoping that you'd be able to answer it for us. I don't know if you joined us, if you missed it. If not, here's my question. I'm just going to repeat it here. I'm looking at pair M. What do you think? This is a batch from black pair M, and they all came out black with one gold ram. See, he's still in the corner. There it is. One gold in this entire batch. All right. My question is, now I'm looking at this batch here, and there's a ton of them. They're looking pretty black right now, but they're just too young to tell for sure. They need another week or two, then I'll know for sure. But out of this batch from the same pair, do you believe that I will have the same percentage of gold rams, or will it be a higher percentage or lower percentage? If so, this right here, that pair is a gold mine. No, not because it produces gold rams, but because it actually doesn't produce gold rams. That's gold mine. Okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's a good thing. So I don't know what you thought about that. What is in that case? What pairs in? Both Denzigers, or is one of the Alberta Rams and a Denziger? Okay, good question. They're both Denzigers. They're both from Israel. They're not the cross between the two family lines that I picked up. I also picked up on Tuesday, by the way, another couple of females from Fanatics, and those females are also from Israel, and they had them in, and I'll show those to you right now. This female, there are two females. There's one, and the other one's coming up to see us. Here's the other one. Just got these this week, just to have something a little additional. And in top of it, I also picked up several pair of these. Now these looks like, I think there's 4 fish in here. I think there's 4. These are all from Czech Republic. But I noticed that in the case of these, I'm not as impressed. As you can see, like you see in the dorsal fin, there's more light color in the 3rd or 4th ray. There's also in the belly area, it's a lot more orange-ish, kind of orangish. It's not, so I don't know, comparing that to the Israeli ones, as you can see here, this is what they look like, and in the belly area they're still quite dark here, so that is one difference. But I just wanted to have some from the Czech Republic to be able to compare, and we can crossbreed them too and see if there's any difference, or I can breed these together and see if there's any difference. The Alberta strain here, the ones I got from Alberta, as you can see here, the males were more like blue blacks. They're definitely not midnight, but the males were like that, and the females were much darker. This one is an Israeli female. I think. Let me see. Is that a male? Oh, it's a male. So these are the two males that I have. Yeah. And they did breed. I did get one of these bred with that female in the back there. And so I do have a cross. That would be pair P. So we were just looking at pair P. And that would be the cross. Where is pair P? Oh, right here. These are the ones. This is from that pair P. This is from that crossing. And in the crossing of the two, I got lots of gold rams. In this particular batch, let me see if it's better this way. You see lots of gold rams. So the percentage of gold is high in this particular crossing. So this was an Israeli female, and the male was from Alberta. So why it doesn't make any sense to me actually if the Alberta ones actually came from South Africa. Yeah, okay, so thank you very much, my dear. I appreciate very much you taking the time to talk about some of the different aspects of the genes. And so we can get a good handle on that and continue to learn what we can. Now, there was some questions earlier. Any black ram catches my eye immediately because I haven't kept black rams. So Ryan is making an interesting point. I know that that's true for a lot of people. They're like, oh yeah, wow. I guess I'm very picky because when you're a breeder, you tend to want to do that, always looking for the best. Sandy asked, it was an interesting question, was there any difference? We'd have to see more spawns. You could have gotten lucky with the spawns, or one of them might be homogeneous for the dark gene. When you say one of them, are you saying, well, they're both. They're both from the Israel, so in that case, we were talking about the M being, you know, high, the one gold ram in the whole lot, and versus how many in the next lot from the same pair. We'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep documenting all this because we're gonna have some interesting discussions on each pair, and then it might help us to arrive at a great conclusion, or maybe no conclusion, but finding out. Okay. Ryan, I thought there was a question later. Okay, half-inch thick instant mashed potatoes or more. You're right. It's only, it's less than an inch. I would say a half-inch is good. Half-inch is good. Thanks for the information on the thin paper towels. Yes, that is kind of the big difference, because if you use the absorbent type and you put it on the microworms and then you just kind of lift up, you know what happens, of course, it just absorbs and absorbs because it's why it's made that way, and then it goes into that mode. If you're on the replay crew, don't forget to add, you know, a comment below saying that, you know, I'm on the replay. Okay, it looks like I got all the questions pretty much covered. We covered the microworms. I wanted to talk about fungus just a little bit. One of the discussions I was having earlier, yeah, bad luck with oatmeal. I don't use oatmeal. I would never use oatmeal. And the reason why is because everyone who's ever used oatmeal has always said it smells bad. The reason that I use the instant mashed potatoes is because there's hardly any smell at all. And when you start to get, bad smell, then you can easily change. It's time to change. If you start to smell anything that's bad. But our worms are sitting here. They'll continue to be viable for a while. I like to, when I have extra on the bottom, what I do with these, I pour them in my koi tanks. Corridors love to sift through the sand and at the bottom, and all the microworms are there, and they're finding those microworms, and they love it. Even though they're tiny, they feel them and they know. It's like, oh, I got a worm. So That's what I do with them. So after one, I didn't even use even a fraction of what I harvested, and I don't need to worry about it, like as if I'm going to save them, because of the fact that there's just so many in that container. In other words, I have a humongous source. So I want to talk about fungus because I was watching the other not a live stream. It was a video from um, Justin's Fishroom, and many of you know him. He's a great source of videos and information on rams, black rams, any rams, and he's got experience, and he's also studies genetics as well. And so in his video this week, he was mentioning a couple of things, and one of the things he mentioned was about temperature, being careful not to have the temperature too high for the eggs. Now, yeah, the rams can take 86 degree water or 84 degree. Alexa, what is 86 degrees in Celsius?
86 degrees Fahrenheit is 30 degrees Celsius.
30. So, yeah, I should have known that. Yeah. Okay, so if you had 30 degrees water, it's going to be quite warm. And yeah, the rams do fine, and so do discus. So that's why many times discus and rams are together. And he had a good point. But what I've noticed is that my people have always been trying to ask me how to raise the temperature in the breeder boxes or the containers that I use. And I say in reply, let me show you what I'm talking about. I say in reply, why would you want to actually raise the temperature? So see the breeder boxes? Well, these ones, it's easy to control the temperature to be exact because they're on a tank and they're going flowing through, and so I just heat the tank in the back. But what about this one? Well, what about this one? This is just a container sitting here. Well, what about this one? And by the way, this is an example of a black ram batch that almost died out. There's actually only 4 little fry in there. So one day, I don't know what's going to happen. That batch, it didn't happen. So sometimes they just don't do well, and other times they do great. So what do you do? Well, look at my room right now. 78, almost 79. It was as high as 79, so it's not gotten much more. I did get this week a humidifier, very good one. And this one says, this one is 60 and it will turn on and bring it down to 55 very quickly, and it pulls a lot of water out. It's a pretty strong one. Frigidaire, good brand, and supposedly it doesn't catch fire according to the oh, while I'm here, I just got to show you the babies, how well they're doing. This pair here is tremendous parents. They're just doing so well. And a huge batch, I would say. Truth is, how many do I have? I don't know. Anybody want to count? On the other side of Dad too. So there's like I'm guessing 150 discus in this particular batch. This one stays at 80 degrees. I have a heater in there, but I just keep it at 80. The heat must not come on too much because, as you can see here, the room is 79. So what I've learned is I was trying something different. Remember when I thought, well, maybe the babies were dying out because this needed to be warmer. So I was taking this and putting it on the inside. And when the body of the temperature, and this was before I was flowing water through. So they were so small, I didn't want them to get sucked out. So I would just hang the container in reverse, and it would be in the water and keep it warmer because the room got kind of cooler. But what happened, I found, was that when I heat the water and I'm feeding baby brine shrimp, just sitting out here, if it's heated in the temperature category of 80 to 80-ish or higher, fungus begins to grow all over the inside. and it does eventually get caught onto your fish, and there'll be fry swimming around with fungus hanging on them, and eventually they succumb. So that's no good. So I started asking myself, why am I getting fungus? Why am I getting fungus? I never did before. Well, the eggs, they have methylene blue. That's one way you can I put in a container like this 6 drops of methylene blue in their eggs. The day before they hatch, I replace all the water as much as I can, and then it just has a tinge of blue. Even if I were to completely replace the water and take the eggs on the plate and move it to the new water, it would still, the plate would actually turn, there's enough methylene blue stuck on the plate that it would actually tinge it. So this water is not got a lot of methylene blue in it, but it's just a tinge. So it really does keep just a tinge, like one drop in this whole thing is enough to keep the fungus at bay. Is to really help keep it down. And I wanted to mention that because it's 8 o'clock already. I don't know if you know this, but Laz tonight is going live, and I wanted to join him. And Laz, the fish boy, Australian, he's supposedly going to be live. Can someone check to see if he's live? If so, we could go over there. If there's no other questions for today, I think I've covered the fungus issue, and I did cover the harvesting of the live foods issue a little bit better. Okay. So I hope that is helpful. Any last questions? I'm looking. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, you asked about the temperature. I'm waiting for the notification. Oh, okay, so he hasn't gone live yet. It's still Sunday morning. So yeah, it's early Sunday morning down in Australia where he's at, and I want to. I really like his channel and him as a young, enthusiastic individual in the fish, and I think it's great what he's doing, and he's got a tremendous channel. So when we go over there, we can just all say, hey, coming over from Fish Easy. Maybe use how do you do that? They say, just put the pound Fish Easy. Hi everyone, coming from pound Fish Easy. And then that way they'll see us jumping in from my live stream here. But basically, that was a number of questions I had this week, and I'm glad I was able to share them with everybody. I'm going to continue to move some fish around. I just got to keep pushing bigger fish out of this room and over into the grow out center. And then also we need to move these ones in breeder boxes into tanks, and that's what I'm hoping is right behind me. As you can see, these guys need to be put into tanks also. So these are most of these are German blues, so that'll be batches coming up. There's four loaded tanks right now of these, and so I need to get those. I'm going to put those into some 20 gallons and give them some space. Change the water frequently and feed them a couple times a day, and just let them grow. And then that's the best way to get some really nice stock out of it. So I really appreciate everybody joining me today. It's great to have you. And if you give a thumbs up, we've already got quite a few thumbs up, but there's 16 people tied in right now, and 17 people tied in right now, and 14 thumbs up. So we could use a few more. Thank you very much. It helps the channel, of course, and we're appreciative to all of you that have come and asked questions and want your questions answered. I have a couple of new things coming down the line, and so I'll save those for next time. It should be exciting news, but I saw Oh, I didn't show you the yesterday's hatch. Yesterday's hatch, after moving these guys to a bigger tank, the discus is, I count close to 40 in this tank. 40 discus here, all from the blue turquoise pair, and they're everywhere in this tank. And here's the blue discus pair, and guess what? They've got babies again. So on that bar, there's another set of babies. Looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it could be as much as 20 more babies coming, but definitely a smaller batch than we had last time. But I think it was just kind of the timing. The babies did a number on the dad, and this is the dad here, and he had some issues in his skin. He had some gouges, and they had kind of chewed him up. So I kind of separated the female. She wanted to breed again, and she was being kind of rough with him. So I put a divider in just so he could have a respite. And I use a chemical that is natural called tea tree oil, also known as Malefics. So I treat him every day. It treats bacterial infections. It helps with wounds, helps regrowth. And I have had nothing but success using this particular product for that particular reason, for that particular means. So just so you know, this is an all-natural product, and I think it's been useful for me. So I hope you always keep some on hand, because you always get something like nipped. You can always get nipped fins, and you don't want fungus to grow, and this will help with that in bacterial infections. So it's a natural, and it's extracted from tea trees. So, yeah, that's how it works. It's very easy to use. I just put in the 5 milliliters per 10 gallons once a day, and change the water once a day. So I was giving nice, clean, fresh water to these guys, and then keep adding the Malefics. And it healed up, and within a week, he was ready to lay eggs again, or he could, handle her. They seemed to calm down, so I pulled the divider, and the next day they had eggs. So I'm glad I did it in time, because I hate it when the female is laying eggs without the male. All right, thank you. Oh, I see. So Lazarus just sent me a message saying he's not going to be live streaming today. Is that what I just read? He says he's got tests to study for, and I have a pretty bad cold. Not COVID, but okay. Well, that's good to know. So he's not streaming, so we can answer any last-minute questions, and he's not going to be joining. So Jeff, yes, he just sent me. I sent him a message, I think, on his. He's got a new. What's that? What is that program called? Discord. He's got a new group on Discord, and that's how I communicate with him. Yeah, Justin and Keeping Fish Simple. Yeah, they're great. Young people with a passion, and so yes, I love Lazarus, Justin, and of course Nick, and they're just wonderful movie makers too, because the young people today can make great movies. And Blake's Aquatics, yes, I do watch his also. He's I think been out there a little longer than the other folks. I'm not sure, but I think he's been out there pushing out videos for some time. Yeah, those are the great channels down under. Mucking Gamio, thank you for joining us today. Oh, from Egypt. Wow, you're the first person from Egypt to join us. That is awesome. So we've been live for about 1 hour, and that is what we have in store for us today. I sometimes write something on my notes in order to cover, and I think we covered most of those. Let me just double check. Yeah, I just wanted to mention something I have up and coming. It was one little item that Green Thumb Aquatics suggested to me. So this is a tremendous idea, and I haven't implemented it yet, okay? And I'm going to show you what was suggested. So instead of, like for example, using the, I'm going to show you the weir that we're using for the, for example, right here. This is a weir for when the fry are too small, right? It's just a weir that's foam. It's the end of a intake filter or sponge, right? Okay. See that? Once they get big enough, you can use that weir, right? Okay, but what about this one? Okay, so this one can sometimes fall or whatever. And what the suggestion was, yeah, you lose those, I know. And this is a great suggestion. What he said was take, let's say for example, I have a piece of foam here. I just don't have the right foam. So I'm gonna, see this foam here? This is too thin. But I'm gonna get some thick foam. And he said, find some thick foam that you can place here all the way across. You don't need that amount of space. It's very small. It's take some thicker foam and stick it in here and all the way across. What will happen is greater surface area, the water still gets through, it'll never come out, it'll be wedged in there, and the small fry will love you for it. See? So that, to me, is an ideal situation. I'm going to try it as soon as I can get the right foam. It turns out that Mr. Wilson, who is well known in these parts, he is the gentleman I acquired all the things from for the Grow Out Center. And he mentioned to me he's got some foam, and I'm supposed to pick it up. So I will probably swing by someday today and get that. No thanks now. So that's the tip of the week. A great idea, and I'm anxious to try it. And if any of you want to try that for your breeder boxes to see if it really improves the overall breeder box experience, and especially at the weir, and it would be great to hear from you. He said, don't go all the way to the bottom. So, for example, if you know it's true, you're going this distance, like right here, all the way down. He was saying, like most of the way, but leave an inch at the bottom. So like maybe this much, and then wedge it across. I don't know if it's because it's additional circulation at the bottom right here, you would be able to get under. Probably so. Maybe it would allow water to get up and around. So that's the other thing. Very likely to be the case. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining. I believe that a little later, it's 8:15. A little later, I think Malik is going to do a quick live stream. Are you going to be live streaming later tonight, Malik? Here's your chance to let everybody know. I don't know well, the breeder box is, I think the idea was the foam could be cut to fit any breeder box. So it doesn't matter what brand you have. You'll try, okay. All right, well, then we'll keep on the lookout and see if you're going to live stream later today. I did want to make a mention of the difference between the two breeder boxes that are large. One of them is this one, and this is the one that it used to be called Marina. Now it's sold by it's sold by Fluval. Now the problem with this one, which I think is really ridiculous, is that this one is, I don't know if you can tell, this one has it's a bigger breeder box, but the width of that little tab right there that holds this in place, right underneath, you see the tab? It's white, hangs down below. It's wide. I cannot use this interchangeably with the medium breeder boxes. Now, isn't that something? Because those are a little narrow, even though it's not that much wider. Now, that's the brand, the Marina brand for the large size. However, this one is a breeder box, large, same. But would you believe it? This is, I believe it's a Chinese made, but it uses the smaller tab underneath there, and it is interchangeable with the medium breeder boxes. So the medium tab. So the lift tube on this one is interchangeable with this size. So the size, it doesn't matter. I love that fact. And also for the breeder boxes, I don't know if you can see this, but it is actually deeper. There is more water in the large one than this one. This is the Insta, ISTA, I think. It's Ista? ISTA, right, Malik. Ista. And the Ista brand is deeper. And okay, you know, that's I love the deeperness of it, and I also like the interchangeability. However, there is a negative effect, and that is the bar that they use goes further out into the tank, so it's not as like right over the edge. So that's the negative side to the lift tubes for the ISTA. So I'm showing you the differences, whether one of the ISTA or whether the Fluval brand is better or not, is two different things. So the ISTA brand goes out further, goes way out to here. If I had a lid on this tank, which I'm attempting to do, in fact, I have purchased these little clips. They hang onto the side, and then they just hang on the inside and provide a lip. And then I'm going to put these little tabs push through the hole, and then it will be like a little rubber. And then I'm just going to put a cover on the tank. So right now these tanks don't have covers, and I want to cover them. But it's very hard to do when these lift tubes are inside, right? I have to cut holes for the lift tubes. But which is not a problem. I can do that. I can make maybe the cover only come up to a certain point or whatever. Yeah. And but I do want to try covering this, and just to reduce the humidity also. So it's always a challenge to keep the humidity down in a fish room like this. So many little boxes and so many little containers of water, and always constantly doing it. So anyways, that's the difference between them. I know Malik said he likes the ISTA better, but I think they're both got advantages and disadvantages. I don't like the non-interchangeability here. I like the fact that it doesn't go as far into the tank. So in that case, the Marina brand, now called Fluval brand, is actually better because it doesn't go into the tank as far. And see how I've got this cover going up to, and it has a smaller gap here. And negatively, it's not as big. It doesn't hold as much water. Maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe because if water is flowing through it, what's the problem? It's stagnant. Water won't be stagnant. And by the time they get too big for the box, they should be moved into a tank anyway, right? So I think the jury's out for me. I don't know yet if there's an advantage. And you're right, it probably is cheaper. But when last time I checked for the Marina or Fluval, believe it or not, the medium cost more than the large. So last time I checked at Amazon, this cost about $5 more than this one. Go figure. I think it just has to do with being in demand. I also like these because they're the width of a 5-gallon, so I can hang this on the edge of a 5-gallon, because when I'm next going to dump these into a 5-gallon, I just hang it here, and after the water reconciles, poof, I just dump them in and it's over with. So that's will it crack if dropped? Oh, you better believe it. They will crack, especially the newer models. The old models made of heavier plastic. This one has a small crack right here, and it does drip, and as you can see, there's a small drip in there. I just catch it right now, but what I'll do, and this is what my wife did for me, She took the medium. She took the medium size one that I cracked and made a mess of. I thought, oh, I'd throw it away. And you know what she did? She took crazy glue and she just crazy glued it up, the whole crack. Now it works great when I use it. No leaks. That's what you can do with plastic. Crazy glue works well. Now, of course, if you drop it and it shatters, well, you know, it can happen. Especially if you have a cement floor, it's going to happen. Problem with weight hanging on a tank? No. No, there's not that much weight. It's, you know, you can pick it up. It's very little. You know, there's more weight, I would think, in some hoods on top of the tank than a breeder box on the side with a little water in it. Yeah. No. So, Stubbs Aquatics has just chimed in. Yes, welcome. And you caught us at the very end. My battery is about gone now. And unfortunately, I didn't realize it was so low. I should have been, when I was in the car, I should have been charging it, huh? So, a minute ago I got a warning I'm about ready to lose battery. So, I'm going to have to sign out no matter what. Well, everyone, there's a lot of work still left to do here, and it's my fish room night. Tomorrow is Sunday, and I've got a lot of work to do, and that's what happens. Do you gut load microworms? I do not. I don't feed my microworms anything in particular, like special, before I feed them to the fish, if that's what you mean. Feed the microworms something, because the media that they eat is so small and yeah, I don't know how to do that. It's not like feeding feeder fish a certain kind of food and then feeding the fish to a bigger fish. It's not like that. So anyways, thank you so much. Appreciate the thumbs up, and we do have a good number, more thumbs up than current participants, so that's great. Thank you very much. And as always, I just like to mention that it's wonderful to be able to just share some knowledge with other people in this fish room, and I've learned a lot of things via other fish rooms, watching them on YouTube. I think people like TM Aquatics, that they're definitely a featured channel on my channel list, and Aqua Malik, of course. And I've learned so much about fish and different species and different kinds, and it's all due to people sharing knowledge. So when we share knowledge with one another, it makes for a wonderful opportunity to not just expand the hobby, but also it's an opportunity for others to have success and enjoy the hobby more than they would have if they didn't. So there's lots of things, and I enjoy sharing success, and I also enjoy mentioning some of the failures, because if I can do something wrong, and I do regularly, then I can share that failure with others, and it's like a warning. It's like, oh, don't do this, or whatever you do, this is something to not do. And I tried it, and it was disastrous. So if I can help other people in that respect too, I think it's a great thing. Thank you all for your kind words, and I appreciate very much also those who have asked questions, because feedback is important. Even if it's negative feedback, that's fine. If you want to send an email, my email and how to contact me is also in these show notes. It's all down below. I keep it in it regularly. So there's a contact form you can fill out, and it goes straight to me. It's based on website at Fish Easy. And I thought there was one more video I didn't mention earlier, but it's in the show notes. The three different videos that I watched this week, which were of worthy mention, are down below. And they're worthy mention because I saw it and see the value in sharing with others, and so that's why I usually mention them on my streams, so that those also can be shared, and they're good ones. I think I mentioned two of them, but there was a third one. I just off the There's no way for me to see the show notes in looking down below. That's the sad thing. I haven't figured out while you're live how to check out the show notes. Is there a way of doing it? Does anybody know? Well, I just learned something right now. Look at that. I just learned how I can turn on the comments. Everyday fish keeping. Yes, everyday fish keeping. Thank you. That was the other video. And everyday fish keeping had a video. And it's funny because he has a voice very similar to Chris Stubbs. You know, when I first heard him speaking, I thought it was, you know, but then I looked, it's everyday fish keeping. He was this week in his video. Can you remind me what the video I watched? I thought it was worthy of mentioning. Oh, I do remember now. He was talking about testing strips, and if you have those test strips, and if you have this method and you have that method, he does some basic. Look, this is some basic tests. I'm going to do it live in front of you, and we're going to compare. And when he compared, the results were surprising, and so I learned something from what he did, and the basic principle was, you know, yeah, it's fine to have mechanisms and contraptions and things to do it, but please be sure, don't forget to always test to see if it's working properly and as expected, because the readings you may be getting may be off. It may not be what you should be getting. So that's another excellent video. Thank you for that final conclusion of the third video. I felt this week was worthy of mentioning. I'm still waiting for Tom to go live, and as we all are, I'm sure we'll be there when he does. So that would be awesome. Be able to ask live questions as we see it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. It's great to be here on a Saturday evening, and I do my best to get a consistent time, but I think Saturdays are just the only consistency I can do, by and large. On the hour, it seems like 4:11 is pushing it these days while I'm working on the other tanks, because it's hard for me to get some work done and then also to be back here in time for the video or the stream. So that's why it might be better for the next few weeks, at least for now, the next few weeks, to do it at 7:11 instead of 4:11. I may have to just change that for the summer, because the days are longer, and I don't know what it is, but somehow all of a sudden it's, you know, 4 o'clock, it comes quickly, and it's like, what? It just started and it's still bright out, you know. It's like getting used to these longer days. Hello, Craig Doniger. Craig's Catfish Cave, yes. Thank you, and I know you stream all the time. Sometimes I even come into your streams, I check it out, and I see you doing your water changes and setting a good example. Thank you. Great. So thank you all for your tremendous support. And I'm not monetized, and I'm not really looking to be monetized. So just so you know, that's not the goal here. The goal here is just being part of the FishTubers Fish Fam, and doing my part in sharing useful information for those interested in a fish room of this size. So thank you all, and we will see you next week probably. Next week is going to be in June already, so we're getting close to the long day. So thank you all very much, and I will have to, it looks like my battery is just about to die, so I'll formally sign out now, so it's an appropriate ending without it being cut off. and everybody just hanging. So thank you so much, and look forward to the next one. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them down below. All right, everybody, and have a great week with your fish. Enjoy your fish, and whatever you do, please be sure to keep it real.